Right. All right, public comment. Pronounce that name for me.
You can call me Andre.
Andre, okay,
Yes.
all right. All right, Andre from 5501 Frederick Street. So we'll give you the floor. You have 3 minutes to address council. Council probably will not interact with you. We'll be talking about the subject we're talking about later on in the meeting, but we would love to hear from you. So floor is yours.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for having us. I'm here. I need to stand up. I'm here with the whole family because this issue that we're having is deeply touching all of us. So we have two little pets and they happen to be chickens. And we would never put ourselves in this situation knowing that chickens are not allowed here. We got them purely for as a pets for our kids to bring some nurturing responsibility, love. And those two little creatures spend a lot of times inside of the house. They play with them, they carry them. When they're outside, they have a nice little coop where they protected, nice and clean. Those are two hands. They do not create any noise. They're very quiet. And as far as aware, they do not create any disturbance in the surrounding area. And our neighbors are aware. And as you know, Frederick Street is full of little kids. So they all come in, they all pet them, they play with them. They know a whole bunch of little tricks, you know. So they really enjoy spending time with them. I think we understand that this is not allowed, you know, and that's the reason we're coming here, just to get a permission to keep them and be open to negotiate or to take some compromise. I know one of the reasons maybe why someone sold the chickens because we don't have any fence area on the exit from our backyard. So probably they went to the road. So that's what happened. That's easy to fix, you know, I can enclose them and we just let them for an hour or two roam in the backyard just to find some bugs and play with our kids. We consider them as a pets, as probably some of you consider the dogs and cats to be a pets, guys. And we would love to keep them. For us to get rid of them, it's like getting rid of a dog or a cat, you know, it's a lot, very sentimental to the whole family. Our daughters love them. One chicken belongs to one. Hannah belongs to Margaret, and Brennan belongs to Martha. And they love them and they spend a lot of time with them. Anything else my family want to add?
I just think we have only 3 minutes, right?
Yeah, go ahead if you got something to say.
I stand to correct Mr. Andre. It's not that we didn't know that we weren't allowed chickens. We were informed that we were not allowed to have chickens. So that was also something, I guess he said incorrectly, but yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, it just like anyone else who has pets in this room. I mean, it's a very big sentimental thing and it's not something very easy to get rid of. I think there has to be some sort of compromise. Whereas it's not livestock that we're breeding or anything where it's a farm, right? I mean, these animals can't breed. They're not roosters where they're yelling and they spend majority of their time inside. So I'm sure that there has to be some sort of compromise. Yes, they can't be running around just like there's some dogs running around Lake Park, biting children, you know. We actually had some dogs in our backyard. We didn't know whose dog it was, just running around. So I don't see how that would be okay compared to some chickens who actually run away. Just like there's geese in Lake Park, just like there's ducks in Lake Park, it's the same factor. You know, it's not a wild dog running around, it's a chicken, which is a pet, which spends time inside. So we would like to make a resolution on that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I think that was a good comment. We're not breeding them for meat or for eggs or anything. That's a purely pets.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. You're welcome to stay. We're going to, a lot of things we're going through, or you're welcome to leave as well.
If that's it, and we're just gonna hear from you guys.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I guess
Thank you.
that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Coming.
guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, in your packet that came out, the January 14th, 2025 regular session minutes were included. Is there a motion to adopt those minutes or any changes requested?
I make a motion.
Mark made a motion, Jim second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries. Approval of the consent agenda. The consent agenda is included there on the main agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, or does anyone want anything pulled or discussed on that?
Motion to approve.
Jim's made a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Steve seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Changes to the agenda, any requested additions or deletions to the agenda? There are a couple things that I threw on the slide for sidewalks and streets. I don't remember the exact, we can cover when we get there. It's things that Bruce had got some photos of, I believe, so. Anyway, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
motion.
Mark's made a motion.
second.
Bruce second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Yeah,
Deputy Head,
So for January, it was 3 alarms, 46 calls for service, 662 self-initiated, 14 traffic stops. I don't see anything unusual on here.
no problem, or issues, habitual that you got? Any questions for Deputy Head? Thank you for your service, we appreciate it.
before he leaves, the one thing that council ought to know is that we've had multiple barking dog complaints in the last 2.5 weeks, which doesn't necessarily reflect on this report, but just as an FYI to you all, several citations have been issued for barking dogs.
Yeah, I think that was some Hoover Avenue and St. Joseph's. I think that was all.
Several for two different addresses.
2 different households, yes.
But I think that's all in this month, so.
One thing, do you give them a warning first, or?
Yeah.
When I was out at Lake Park Road with the Drive Pro, it was basically almost one lane where my van was and the Drive Pro truck. And people have no consideration on Lake Park Road. They're doing 40 to 50 miles an hour.
Towards, towards the.
They were working up near the pond.
Yeah, you go in your trail
Let's
road.
get the name, Union Building Trail.
Right.
Okay,
I mean, it didn't matter.
okay. I sat up there a few times and like where the hill is. I don't really, there's not a lot of traffic to begin with, but yeah.
Well, I was out there like 1:30 in the afternoon, boy, and I'll tell you, they were given no consideration to do vehicles being on the side of the road, and I had my 4-ways on. And they didn't even care.
I usually sit by that hill so I can see them coming down and.
We'll bring we can put the mobile sign over there too, it's been over there for quite a while.
Yeah.
It's
Where
due
it's at,
to
yeah.
be moved
Dealing with that.
just yet.
And
But yeah.
there were only 3 cars that I noted that really slowed down to what I would call at least 25, 28 miles an hour. Otherwise, it was pedal to the metal. And there was, I have to say, there was one electrical truck van, he was doing speed limit.
All right.
Because he was afraid somebody would get his name. Yeah. But that's definitely getting bad out there. So sooner or later, somebody's gonna wreck out there.
Okay.
All right.
I'll set up some more.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Good night. Finance officer report, sure.
Okay, there was one item I had missed that we had transferred $5,000 to sidewalk repairs from the consent agenda. So on page 3, we're not 132% of budget, we're under budget. Budget is 15,000, not 10,000, so it's like it, we show you that. On legal expenses, we are almost, we paid 96% of our budget. We still have a half of a year to pay Ken and whatever other attorney fees we have. So we need some sort of a budget amendment for that.
You have a recommendation on the amount?
I don't know how much you're gonna pay this other attorney. I know just for Ken, we would need 11,000.
Why don't we move that right now and then add in whatever else we need when we figure out the rest of that one.
Okay,
Well, we could send Tosco your money and figure you out.
Give you whatever's left over.
Are you
Probably
more
gonna do you a
comfortable with
favor
the
next
larger
month.
amount now, or you
It'll be here.
Do you have any idea of what we're gonna be?
I feel like, I hope we're close to finishing with him, but I don't know that
And
for
there's,
sure.
we've got, that he consulted with, so.
I guess after
That's fine.
next month we'll know maybe.
So move 11,000.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to move $11,000 from the general fund to legal.
I'll second.
Joe's made a motion, Bruce second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And, we have paid for the, if we go back to, the stormwater, I've added, the Frost Court project and the mapping project. So
What page are you on?
on page 2.
Okay.
So we, wrote the check to Eagle for the 459,000. And then I separated out the Frost Court project just because it's such a big one. So we're okay in all of those. I just wanted to let you be aware of those.
And you had said something about sidewalk.
Yeah, I had missed
Okay, as long
the
as you're
consent
good.
agenda
Yeah,
for
this-
5,000.
we're probably gonna have to move some
adjustment.
more money tonight to there. So it was
To which one?
15,000, probably the sidewalks. It was 15,000 and we've spent,
13, so.
so there's about two.
What page is that?
About 1850 we have
Okay.
available.
All right, we'll probably have to move some money when we get to that.
Okay.
Any questions for Sharon? Thank you, Sharon. Stormwater update, Sheree.
Well, as of this afternoon, I do have a little information for you. The village was shortlisted for our stormwater mapping project by the state. And as such, new proposals will be submitted to the BRIC 2024 competition. So we must submit our completed first draft by March 21st of this year. And then then those sub-applications will be reviewed by the state prioritization panel, March 24th through the 28th. They'll be using a scoring criteria. And they will notify, findings of the panel will be shared with us the week of March 31st, and final edits may then be made and resubmitted to for the April 25th submission to FEMA. But the top ranked $2 million in proposals, if we were to be in the top project selected, will be submitted toward the state's allocation. Anything else, all the sub-applications will be competing nationally for funding. It's exciting from the standpoint that we were shortlisted. We can't spend any money because there's still a whole process. And if we don't get in the states, it would, with all that's happened in California, I don't know that we'll get any money, but I just wanted to let y'all know that we at least made the short list, so we weren't thrown out completely on our project idea. And one of the first questions we asked them was, this is a project that's underway and has been paid for. Does that take us out of the running? And the answer is no, because it's not a construction project. It's a scoping, and it still qualifies. If it was a construction project, we would be out of the running. So that's where we are. So at least we're trying.
Good work, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
We
Thank
would
you.
appreciate when, and that doesn't mean we get
I understand.
$2 or $0 or half of the cost, but if we get anything, it's better than we were.
Where's the check?
So, I just wanted to let you know that. And then as far as the Christopher Channel and Frost Court Channel, we're waiting on dry weather before the work can move forward. The stormwater mapping project is underway. As of Friday, all of the phase 3 closed circuit TV work has been completed, and 3 of the 4 phases of drone work is complete. That's one of the things, because the leaves are not on the trees right now, that's really allowing the drone to work faster and be more efficient. And Eagle Engineering has also been working on the Frost Court easement. The sidewalk and storm drain repairs on Frost Court are complete. So that's the catch basin in the street and the sidewalk that was floating. Both of those pieces of the project have been completed.
And the clearing has been done in the channel.
The clearing's been done, but we're not finished.
Yeah. You got anything else on that?
Yes, sir.
Late this afternoon, like 5:40 or so, we got an email. We had checked in with Nick this morning to see where he was at or what he had heard from the 6304 residents and or their attorney, and didn't hear for quite a while, but about midday or so, his associate emailed and said that he was in a hearing, but she was reaching out to see if she could get any information from their attorney. So she got a reply back that said, I've been real busy. I hope to get to it later today. And then a reply shortly thereafter that said, I've actually got time now, so I'm going to dig into it. So about 5:40 or so, she sent Claire, who's Nick's associate, sent us their attorney's red line remarks to the settlement page. And they were basically, I have not studied them that much, but reading the body of Claire's email, they were fairly benign, just some wording issues. It didn't look like there was going to be any major challenges that I saw. We'll of course wait till Nick's back tomorrow to get his input on those changes and then go from there, with the hopes to have this thing finalized maybe this week, and then get the work at least scheduled over there to be going. Anything else on that, Sheree, Ken?
Was there I'm tracking it, you know, because you are copying me and everything. Wasn't there a permanent easement agreement?
It came-
Has that been crafted?
It came through today and was sent to them today, and although they didn't forward me the body of her email to Claire and Nick, but in Claire's email to us, it said that in Sash's body, she said the easement agreement was fine.
And is, our next people gonna be orchestrating what gets recorded in the registry of deeds?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like you got it on track. I think it's going as, I can tell you when you started, I was apprehensive about how long this might take. It's been fairly expeditious. It may not seem that way, but I feel like it has been.
And I may have
In my world.
I may have misspoke. The easement agreement was sent with that original packet because that was kind of but the exhibit to attach to that, which identifies the new easement, it was finalized today by Eagle, and that was sent to them as well. So I think we're on track to get it wrapped up. Anything else going on, Sheree?
No, sir.
Park and Recreation, we had a discussion last month about the Christmas tree over on Meeting Street. And the reason I had it at Park and Rec was because several council members had mentioned to me or asked me to address it at Park and Rec, the tree itself. So, and it's the aesthetics of the tree. And you hear people, a lot of people think it's fine just because that's the tree that was brought here and it was for that, and leave it, let it be. And there are others who think it just looks terrible. Henry did struggle this year. There's a section out of it on the side facing the park that really didn't have any lights at all because the branches have fallen in. Will Ortiz, who of course is a certified arborist and on our Park and Rec Commission, has for a number of years when this has been brought up, felt like the tree's healthy and should, leave it till it's dead. He did, when we talked about it this time, he was much more receptive. Sheree, correct me if I'm wrong or say anything out of place, to the fact that the tree is aged out. And he said, as those trees age out, the branches will just fall. It doesn't, they don't ease down, they just fall. So he said, he could buy in that there could be a safety concern, somebody's over there and a branch fall. Now, you'd have to be under it to get hurt, I would imagine. Yeah, up the mountain. But what I told Park and Rec was, I wanted to come back, because I've talked with several of you guys behind the scenes, or, just out and about, or up there at Christmas tree lighting. I would like some council direction on, because it is kind of a big deal on taking that tree down, replacing that tree, or letting it continue. So I'd like us to just have a quick discussion about it and see what council as a whole wants to do.
I think it's time. The tree has just outlived its purpose. I know there's a good story behind it, and it was great seeing all the pictures when we opened the capsule and the story behind what was going on, but when you're missing large sections that stop it from being used for what it looked ridiculous, with it missing that one section right where we needed it. I mean, right where everything was happening, where all the pictures were and everything. It's just done. It's been great to have, but it's time to move on.
Things change, and that tree is outlived its purpose. Either that, I call it a Charlie Brown tree and don't put anything on it. But I think it's, as Joe says, it's had its days, and those days are over, and I think it's time to remove it. Maybe bring the mountain down a bit even, for sure.
Yeah.
And find and get a nice Christmas tree to plant in there that really hardy and healthy and will grow.
This one that Jim had planted out here, it's not been that long ago, 4 years now, maybe 5 years.
4 years. Green giant arborvitae.
I hadn't paid a great amount of attention to it until this weekend, and that tree has grown substantially. And that's actually what Will said he's doing some research, but that's what he said he probably would recommend.
Is it,
to go.
if you go with that, excuse me, I'm sorry, if you go with that, is it possible to move that tree over?
Certainly could check with him and see.
I mean, that was the whole reason behind we were doing is taking it away from that tree to bring it up here,
Pretty good
and
job.
put up a tree. That tree is gonna get around, if I remember correctly, 25 feet wide. And it's gonna go about 40 to 50 feet tall, so it's going to be a tree that grows about 3 feet a year.
Yeah.
So, that was the reason why we went with that tree.
Is that the tree we used for the pandemic Christmas?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was a little sad when we put it up there, but it has grown
Right.
substantially.
Not as sad as this one.
No, no. And I wanted to replace that tree
Or the children's
6, 7 years ago, and there was a lot of opposition.
Yeah.
Now things have changed, and I'm all for changing it.
Mark, Steve?
Well, I like the idea of possibly moving it over there. I don't know how much that costs. I have no idea. But that would be a good start because you'd want to start with at least a somewhat of a decent size, not everybody looking at a 6-foot tree.
One of the things I asked Will at Park and Rec was about that, about
Tight.
how big can you get? And he said, I think he said 60 gallon. He said, well, you can get one 60 gallon. I don't know what that equates to size wise or whatever, but it was a great point. And certainly if it could be, it would be a good thing. Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It does have some holes in it. It does have some issues. That mount's got way too high. We need to control that. I just think it comes down to cost, right? How much it costs compared to not. We're doing the stormwater map, and who knows what's gonna come out of that. It has to be replaced. So I think me and my mindset, it comes down to cost.
No.
Council direction?
I'd say let's move forward with it. We don't need to do a motion on this now, do we? Or would this be something?
Well, that's up to Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, what they
I'm
come to,
for
what they wanna do.
Parks and Rec having the direction of removing it and replacing it.
So is there a consensus of council to replace the
Oh,
tree? That's
absolutely.
what
Definitely.
Yeah.
That'll rename.
The only thing I'd add to it, and I'm sure Will's on top of this already, is I know some of the Leland cypresses just have a time period where they just, seems like 7 to 10 years on Leland cypresses, they're just done. And they start dying. I don't know if there's anything on that of what the lifespan, Jim, maybe but.
No, I don't.
I think these, I planted these at a house, and I think it was better than a Leland. They had suggest these over to Leland because of
I
that.
think you're right.
Because the Leland was getting diseases and all at that time. They suggest this, and that's what we're planting.
Like I said, I'm sure Will will be on top of that.
All right, thank you. Just so everybody's aware, we are in the process of trapping for muskrats. I don't think he's been out to the ponds yet. Miller Outdoors
I've not heard from him.
out of Catawba, North Carolina. Just Jordan Miller is his name, will be the one doing that. Just want you to know in case you see Facebook comments or anybody questions. We did ask him, he'll be riding his boat in the pond. It's a paddle boat. So we've asked him, let us know when that happens so that we can let deputies know. And if there's a community, you know, somebody sees a person in the pond, they'll be wondering. That's gonna be at Sages Pond and Lake Charles.
Yes.
Where those two issues are. And then we did have some bench donations. We had talked about this at council a couple of months ago. We're moving some monies around where they were donated and getting them into the right fund. Those have been installed and the plaques were put on today. John Corzine, I thank him for installing the benches and the plaques on them from the Dome family who live over that way, in memory of one of the son. So nice additions. Our next meeting is February 24th. Our upcoming topics will be the pool season and rates. I don't know anything about what I'm about to talk about other than tell you that it's coming forward. We'll be working on budgets, our global budget and park and rec budget. But next month, we'll be talking about pool season rates. And we have been requested by the pool team to come up with a rate for folks that are just on the pool league, that cheaper access fee for them to only go to the swim team and not access the pool at any other times. So they've thrown some numbers out there to us. They've given us some ideas. We've asked for a little more feedback. I anticipate them to be at our February meeting. For me to bring some, no, we meet February.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you meant this
And
one.
no, at our Park and Rec February meeting, so that I can bring this proposal to council at the March meeting, because we've got to get the rates set. And it is a significant change. It could be a significant change to budgetary numbers. So, it definitely something that should come before council before we agree to do it. So,
I just wanna put a remark that comes up just about every year.
right.
And I know in the past, it has been said that the swim team takes away from everyone else's use, that's why they're always in charge the same period.
Right.
So that's just something that has been
Sure.
looked at that way.
Yeah. I don't,
However, Parks and Rec wants to do it.
no, I think the numbers that we've discussed at Park and Rec, it's a substantial enough difference that council has to be the one to make the final say. I mean, the Park and Rec recommendation will come forth, but I'm concerned it to be a substantial difference that I would want council to say yeah or no, or have a discussion or a negotiation with that. And likely we'll have the representatives from the swim team here at the council meeting that night as an agenda item to discuss, because it's, again, it's fairly
Yeah, they should.
fairly
present it to us,
detailed.
yeah.
Have we ever done that in the past?
Not to my knowledge, no. Yeah. All right. Planning board, Steve, I know your last one was canceled, anything?
Yeah, we got snowed out, right? A little bit of snow we got there. So we got
Right.
snowed out. So the next one will be February 18th, which is next Tuesday.
All right, thank you. Waste collection, Jim?
Okay, as you're talking about budgetary items, waste, just so you know, starting July 1st, Wasteful will be increasing the rates by 5.2%. Which means currently for yearly, we pay just above 341,000, which means it'll go up to slightly above 359,000 for the year. Roughly monthly, it's just shy of $1,500 increase. Again, this is July 1st. And that's the semi-annual rate increases that can happen. We do have a couple of things around, there was a rental on Kenmore that left a good amount of bulk that they picked up. And then Balsam has a number, I know, got notified today that they said they'd pick up 10, but I don't know, you were gonna notify the letter to the property owner?
The property, the owners have been, I'm assuming have been notified.
Okay.
A letter was mailed out of my office on Thursday. When you put out 5 mattresses and a whole house, our contract states that we pick up 5 bulk items. They picked up 10 because they took the mattresses, just so we were concerned that weight of those mattresses with the children and everything, we went ahead and removed those. We have told the owners they are supposed to have it picked up by this Friday.
I have a slide later on here with a picture of it. We'll talk about that with something else, Lauren, so there's a picture of it in the slides here in a second, so.
And I just stuck this on there because I've seen a lot of Facebook chatter. Any update? Are we gonna do magnets or a printed thing? Do you think we need to or we don't? Or I don't care. I just.
Magnets are very expensive. I checked around on a few different places and they are actually outside of what we have budgeted for amounts. So I'm gonna say no. And you have to get, because it's the whole schedule, you gotta get a decent size
Big.
one. Yeah, and it just really becomes, if you wanna spend $5,000, we can do it, but I don't think it's worth doing that.
Right.
I can print them out. I don't know if that's something, if I print them out, Mark, when you go around and just deliver them with the villager,
Just a schedule.
just a schedule, yeah, print it and schedule. We can do that, we can print it in color, I mean, it's not that expensive to do.
Or if you send it to Sheree, you can get it printed with the,
Yes, sir.
with the,
With
get it how you want it and she can print it with the newsletter.
Yeah, we'll just send that out and do it that way, yeah. And then we'll have the extras here as well, so.
Anything else on that?
Yeah, just one other thing is, there's been Fennel Street is where one of the truck has to back down in both cul-de-sacs, and there's been recycling. One house has been missed for the last 3 weeks, the last 3 pickups, I should say.
Right.
And I sent an email to contact that Waste Pro to get into it. He has not got back to me yet. I'm still waiting to hear why. They said they called, they said they came and picked it up and it was not picked up. They must have went to someone, another house, and it's just the way it's settled, that they're just missing it. So we're working on that one to get that straight away.
Is it actually on Fennel or is it in the alley in the back?
It's on Fennel, it's on a cul-de-sac.
I understand, but on the Fennel cul-de-sac, there's an alley that runs back of some of those houses on Fennel. So the question is,
Where are they putting?
where are they
Okay,
putting it?
so-
Maybe that's part of the,
Well, that was my question. I told Ted that you wanted to go take a picture to make sure everything, I haven't heard back from him yet.
I think there's only one house on Fennel that has the driveway towards the
I
back.
think there's 2 houses that go up.
there's 2,
Driveway.
right at the
So,
very,
yeah.
the last 2.
Yeah, but I was gonna go down and find out, and
Okay,
so waiting to hear back what he says.
if you need my help, let me know.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Streets and sidewalk roofs.
Well, Conifer's done, and they got the blacktopping done in record time, because people were starting to make waves, about the interruption, but it's done, it's finished, looks great. No complaints since it's been done, that I've seen or heard of. Restriping on Creft, okay? With this event center that's going to open up over here on Meeting Street, there could be an overflow of cars with people coming into an event and parking wherever the heck they want to. So we're gonna restripe Meeting Street, the parking spots, and put no parking on the 2 corners of Creft, right there by the village buildings there, so people don't jam up the corners. Around where the tree is, so to speak, for better reference, that's gonna be done, no parking but in yellow. So it's, nobody can say, oh, I didn't see it, so it'll be on both sides. I think the only time that we might override that is when the food trucks are here.
Oh, yeah, the street will be closed, so.
Yeah, so that shouldn't be an issue. Then they'll continue down to the corner of Creft and Meeting at the far end. Hook the right, go up Ms. Didi's, we do this striping on this side. And then in front of Ms. Didi's, gonna do the 15-minute parking And I have them do that in yellow also, and the hash lines will also be in yellow. Then as you get up past Miss Dee Dee's, they're gonna add 2 no parking spots there on those 2 corners. You know, on that side street, which I never remember the name of the buses. Margaret, where the buses park, so on either side of that on Craft, it'll be labeled no parking. And then the stop bars and the word stop on a couple of the streets there are faded out. They're gonna be redone also, so. Quite a bit's being done, gonna be $1,712 that needs to get done.
That'll about eat up that 1850 that's available.
And it's gonna wipe it out, you know.
Do you wanna move any more money into there for now, or?
No, I think we'll hold for now, we'll see what happens.
Actually, we can't, because we still gotta do drop road. Yeah, we're gonna need to move.
Well, I didn't know if that was gonna come out of streets and sidewalks, or where exactly we were pulling that from. But I think that's gonna be, which I wanted to talk about anyhow, Dry Pro, I think is really gonna be cost savings on a lot of these sidewalk tear ups and replacements that are costing us $5.50 a panel. The reason I say that, the 2 panels out on Fates Ridge Road that are kind of gone wonky on us. And there was a trip hazard, and one of them was already ground down by, the heck was that company we used?
Precision.
Precision, thank you, which we're not using anymore, by the way, for this reason. But Dry Pro says they can raise the panels on either side of that issue, so they're even. Okay, so it'll just be like a slight raise and over, but not, won't be a trip hazard. And you're talking a cost of $912. As opposed to if I had the sidewalks done, it would have cost us probably somewhere between $2,500 and $3,500. So I think that's a heck of a cost savings. And I happen to, not only on Frost Court, that I see what they did to take care of Frost Court with that issue, but on Lake Park Road where that sinkhole was, and they drove these 2 long pipes down, very thin pipes, use them once and throw them away. And then they pump the product through them on the one side, which the 3 of us, the 2 workers and myself, were looking for it to come up through the center of the hole, but it didn't, it came into the side of the hole from the right side. So that sinkhole had already expanded on the ground. And then the other part, the left side, as you're standing looking at it from the road, it started to fill up in the hole, and they used 52.2 pounds of product to fill that hole. And once they filled it up, and then they're really pros at what they do, no pun intended. But you know, they took out the soil, they had bags of soil, and put that all down, tamped it down, and then they seeded it, overseeded it actually, and put hay on it. So when they got done, it was a perfect job. And that's when I had them go over and look at this over here, and they said $912. They came back with, so it's scheduled to be done on the 24th of this month. That's when we're gonna do it.
Between the 1750, 1712 for parking, the 945 and the 1500, that's 4145. So we would need to move at least $2,000. No more than that, we probably should move $3,000.
Put a buffer in there, yeah.
Make a motion to
Let's move it. I know we're moving it from, but let's move it.
move $3,000 from the fund balance to streets and sidewalks.
Make a motion, move the 3,000.
Jim has made a motion, is there a second? Mark second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And then a motion to approve, the Lake Park Road sinkhole has already been repaired because it was a huge safety issue. It was caving in. But is there a motion to approve the street striping first?
Motion to approve Carolina striping on the streets.
All right, Jim made a motion.
I'll second.
Bruce will go second.
Bruce second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'm sorry, tell me that one again. You made the motion.
I made the motion, yeah, for the striping.
And
Bruce
Joe,
second.
And then is there a motion to approve whatever 1,500 plus 945 is for Drive Road?
I'll make that motion.
Steve made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Jim second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. That Lake Park hole that Bruce was just talking about is what's in that picture there at the bottom. It doesn't look that significant, but the hole was coming towards the road and going sideways, and it took 53 pounds of that material. And that material is sort of like the insulation you spray out in
Yeah.
a can, right? It's not very heavy, so
It's
53
like a
pounds
feather.
of that.
But the one thing about it, when they pump it in, it's hot. That material is hot. In fact, they were telling me that, like, if they have any excess material that they don't use and they throw it in a plastic bag, when they get back to the home office, they don't throw it in the dumpster until the next morning because it's still generating heat. And it could start a fire. But a sucker really gets warm.
Did you make the last motion?
No.
Jim did.
Jim did.
I made the
That's
last.
me.
He did, Jim said.
I second it.
That was for both driveway repairs.
And I will be finding, once they're done, a proper spray paint to get rid of the caution sign. I originally figured the sidewalk panels were gonna be replaced, you know, so, oops.
I'm interested to see once they do their job, because if it works, it's a great deal for us.
Oh, yeah.
My only concern is where those sidewalks have already been ground down. How are you gonna get those level? I think you're still gonna have a divot in that panel where that sidewalk has already been horizontally sawn. Now, it may be so soft that it's not a trip hazard, we'll see, but for $945 versus $500 a panel, it's certainly worth
Big
a shot.
savings.
To try at least.
The only thing I've yet to find out, I put a call in, but didn't get an answer back. We won't take the tree down. Okay, I'll leave that alone, but it's the roots that's pushing it up. So originally Andrew said, well, if you saw cut along the edge of the sidewalk, cut that root at that point, that'd be fine, and the tree should hang in there for another few years, so. That's what I gotta find out, if we still need the saw cut or not, I'll know that.
We have enough money, y'all.
Yeah, so that's $2,445 that Drive Pro between the 1,500 and the $945. And then you've got your striping, and we moved $3,000, so yes, so,
We already had 18 in it, didn't we?
yeah, so you should be okay,
All right. There won't be much excess, but it
Right.
should cover it.
but you should be
Okay,
covered.
sure. Lights and electrical, Joe?
All right, well, we had a complaint from somebody that talked to somebody about the tennis court lights. That, they said that at nighttime, that the lights that we had installed mainly for the pool, but we ended up putting the two lights on the other side to the light of the tennis courts. At night, they just don't get a good vision of the other side, and asked if we could adjust them. So since we had the lift here that Henry was using for removal of the Christmas tree lights, thought it would be a good idea to see if we could adjust it. Jeremy and I went out there and looked at it. Really just don't see a way that adjusting those lights are gonna help. I mean, it's just, if we lift them up some, it might give you a little bit better view on the other side of the tennis court, but then it's gonna take away from that side. So it's basically probably as good as it's gonna be. To do any better, we'd have to add some more lights to it. And you've got to remember that these lights were really mainly installed for the pool, and it was just a benefit of, hey, we could put one here and get the tennis courts, get some light over there in that area, because it's very dark at night. But it's where it's at. To do any better, we're just going to have to install more lights, and I don't see that in the near future for what it'll take to do that, and for what it's used at nighttime. You know, come here in a couple of weeks, it's going to be, you know, light a lot later, and it's not really going to be needed. So I wouldn't think that's going to be something.
Orders review?
All right, we got a lot for the ordinance review committee. We met this past month, went over quite a few things and came up with a few ideas, and we're bringing back another old idea. First off, the parking ordinance. There were a lot of questions that we didn't have answers for at that time, that we decided to, we came back, did a little bit more looking. I did some overhead looking of the parking space, and actually went out to the parking space that was in question of what we could do with it. We've kind of talking with Cherie about it some, come up with, we're going to write something. First off, it's got to be kept in mind that that particular alleyway that we're talking about, and most of the alleyways through there, not all of them, are one way. So that you don't have your two-way traffic coming there. So it's not as much of a traffic hazard if one car is hanging out part of the way. And that's kind of what the review committee was worried about, is if we wrote something would we be able to come up with something that wouldn't put us as much of a liability if there's an accident, because we allow somebody to park improperly? So, obviously, we'll have you involved with that when we get to that point of being able to do it. But, the big thing that Cherie and I came up with was that we're going to make sure that when we do this on the ordinance, we allow somebody to park outside of the specifications or outside the ordinance, that it is only in the garden district on alleyways. We're not gonna allow it all the way through, because the garden district's parking is a problem for people that have, disabilities and you can't get in. So we'll try to work with those people some. One thing that was brought up by the committee was thoughts of making it where it was during daylight hours only. And that probably is not a bad idea too, so that you have, you can see it good. So, we're still working on that part. We talked about it. Council asked us to do something about it last month. We talked about it, came with some ideas, so we're going to be working on that. That's our next step.
I think it would be, as you move toward that, a suggestion would be to name the
Each one of the
individual
alleyways
alleys.
separately, yeah.
That way, there's no gray as to what is the garden district. And you guys have to remember, most of the homes in the garden district are less than 6,000 square feet lots, and they have driveways that are not long enough to park a car.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So if someone has parked in their garage like they're legally supposed to, but you have someone on a walker or in a wheelchair, they can't get in the house.
And the
Unless
house
they
in
come
question,
back.
where the one that brought this all up, is even more difficult to park sideways in there, because it actually has like a raised ledge at the edge of the driveway. So it's not like you can pull forward and then back in to get into a space real good. You have to kind of hit it at an angle to fit into that space. So, any questions on that?
What's gonna be actually designated the handicap space, their driveway, so to speak?
Well, with either a handicap plate or a placard, you will have wording that allows you to park inconsistent with the ordinance. If you have a handicap plate or placard, as long as you're still leaving the proper space, and the deputy at his discretion feels that it's safe. If he doesn't feel it's safe, he'll be issuing a warning for the first one. So. Okay, this was brought up in our meeting that, first off, we had several residents throughout Facebook ask for this, and then one of the members of the committee, Sarah Orr, brought it up. So I told her we'd look into this to check and see. Monroe has recently enacted a tethering section to their animal control ordinance, which I have put this in everybody's paperwork here. This is a summary that should be on the bottom of it. This is a nice little summary that they released as a flyer from Monroe to tell people about their ordinance. So it's in plain language, so you can just look at this to see what we're doing, or what's proposed of what we're going to do. So I'm asking council if they, by consensus, think that we should move forward of adding something similar to this to our ordinance. I'm not saying we're going to do it word for word. And I'd look for insight from council of what they'd like to see with that. I emailed everybody the ordinance itself, but I figured including this with the packet would help out a little bit, so that you can, it's easier terms and everything to read and see what you got. So if there's no thoughts or objections to this, I'm going to bring this to Ordinance Review Committee for our next meeting, and we'll start working on this.
What's our ordinance now? Nothing?
Well, if on the tethering end of it, doesn't have anything, it's just leash law, basically.
So there can be enforcement policies with it?
Yes, well, of course, when we do this, we'll have enforcement and ways to contest if brought up, which is a hot topic on this, something came back on. So the thing boils down to, the only protections we have for something like this are on the Union County's ordinance. It's very vague, and it's very hard, according to our deputies, it's very hard for them to enforce. It's basically, as long as somebody's home, they can leave a dog out there tied up, and there's nothing really to it. So they can sit out there and wait for them to leave, and then have a barking dog in the backyard, and then do something about it. But again, of course, that's a lot of wasted time. So looking at maybe being able to do something. There are a couple of issues that we've had with this, with complaints, that this would help us take care of.
I know we have more and more dogs in Lake Park, so I see that this could probably be useful to have.
Do something. As Jim just said, there are more dogs than I remember from when I first moved in here.
Are they mostly though kept in the, I mean, is this saying I can have a dog outside all the time tethered to, if I meet these criteria?
Well, if you meet those criteria, yes, but there's a lot to it.
But you know what I'm saying, thus, we gotta be careful with that too, because.
As of right now, they can do it without any criteria.
Right.
So
You don't want to put this out there, then somebody say, I'm gonna get a dog, and just leave them outside all the time, tethered to whatever.
You know, there's. like
Because I don't
said,
see a lot of that happening. We might have one or two here and there, but, you know,
They're
I can
around.
see day and night, a dog out back tethered meets these criteria, and we're saying it's okay. That's probably not a thing we want to go down.
But again, this is just an example. This isn't, what, you know, the ordinance. We can, you know, whatever input from council, you know, as the ordinance review committee, we are there to work on the ordinances for council. So whatever the council wants us to put into it, as long as it's legal, you know, we'll do it. We'll write it. You just got to tell us which way to go with it and how to do it.
I
So
think one I read that must not be theirs had a time frame. The dog may not be tethered more than 6 hours a day.
I
don't
thought
know
I'd
what it
seen
was.
some land too.
like I said,
Custom course maybe, but.
yeah, and this is also a summary of the ordinance itself that I sent out, but I knew that was a lot of legal mumbo jumbo in it and a lot of words to read and go through. So this, I just figured this would be good to send out, you know, for us to look through. So if,
It's gotta be fine too.
yeah, if everybody thinks it's a good idea, we'll move forward with it as something that will, amend the, animal control ordinance with. So
I don't see any reason why we shouldn't.
Anything else on that?
Nope, that's it. Of course, the next slide is going to be that, so we'll skip over that. And here is the latest thing. This was not something that was really talked about in our last meeting, but it's something we talked about in the past. The last time I brought it to council, we talked about it for a little bit, but we decided to wait because the HOA was working on their CC&Rs and was hopefully passing it. It didn't. They didn't do anything with that. They can't do anything. We've got nuisances that we think needs to be taken care of. Last meeting, brought up the abatement. That's probably not the best way for us going with nuisance abatement. It's a lot of judicial work and expense involved in that. And, you know, we need ongoing and multiple situations. It's not like we just have one, and it's not like we're dealing with just one thing right now. For down the road, we need some stuff to work with. I sent out, which seems to be the staple of the area, Wesley Chapel's ordinance with my packet. And I'm not saying, again, I'm just using that as an example. I'm not saying that's what we're going to do every bit of theirs. Only use that as an example. I'd like everybody to, well, first off, if people think we should move forward with it, I don't want to go through all this if you don't think it's going to be an ordinance is going to pass through council. So I'm asking for consensus of whether you think we should do this. And if we do, I'd like to get input from people of what you think is good with that ordinance, what you'd like to see added, what you'd like to see you think has gone too far. Because there definitely is a lot of stuff that might be gone just a little bit too far. So if we want to move forward with it, that's our next thing to work on. So
I think it's something we need to move forward with.
there's some situations, if you go to the next slide, this is what I was talking about before, that Sheree was talking about. That is a rental house that the tenants left. And I'm assuming the property owners, people just went in and moved all that and put it outside. And right now, we're in the middle of a 2-week process to get rid of this because we have no other remedy for it. So hopefully we can come up with situations that will make it easier for us to deal with something like that. You know, like Sheree said, fortunately, Waste Pro worked with us, picked up some extra, the mattresses, because we all know they can become waterlogged and very heavy. Kids playing around with it, who knows what could happen. So, but best case scenario is what, next Friday? They have till next Friday to do it, and that's if you send out a certified letter. Did you get anything back on that yet? Or yeah, so I mean, there's no telling how long this is gonna take and what's gonna go on from there, so.
The owner does live in Indian Trail. I thought, worst case scenario, I could go knock on his door.
We could just, Jeremy's got a truck, I have a truck,
In his yard.
we could just load it all in there, take it to their house.
Drop it off. I thought at one time the reason we shied away from nuisance a little bit, Joe, was because it was covering a lot of the other ordinances. But I don't think things like this are.
There was a thought that between the UDO ordinances we have now and the changes that were gonna be made with the CCNRs, everything would be pretty much covered. The changes with the CCNRs never happened, and there's little things like this and other nuisances that aren't.
Yeah.
And that we need to, it's about time to work on it, there's some houses that are just downright, a nuisance to the neighbors. And it's affecting their property value, it's affecting if they're trying to resell it, their ability to sell their house. And there's a safety factor involved with a lot of it too, so I think we owe it to the people to clean it up.
That's it. Like I said before, gotta move forward with it. It's kind of like the dog situation, things change. Sort of something I think is needed.
I'm hearing that, you guys want us to move forward with that. So we'll look into that and get going. Like I said, if you guys could take some time and look through, even if you want to search other ordinances for nuisances, give me some ideas of what you do and don't like. We'll be happy to, present it to us and we'll write it.
What about, I'm not trying to jump under the gun, but a lot on the table, and y'all meet more regularly than quarterly?
We'll probably meet more than quarterly while we work on this, yes. Yes, we're scheduled for our next meeting to be in April. So, which is, I think, is the next slide, is that our next meeting, nope, I guess not. I think I might have erased it when I went through and added some of them, but, our next meeting is, excuse me?
April 14th.
April 14th is our next meeting, exactly. Normally, we meet on the third Monday of the month. That's the second Monday, because the way the month falls. And there's nothing else going on that night. And the next weekend is Easter Monday. We had a little bit of conflict with that, so we're going to meet then. And that's when we'll start working on putting this all together and give you all time frame what we're going to do. Technology, the YouTube page. If you guys remember, for the last couple of months, I've been talking about, I've been having issues posting videos. It's mainly been a hardware issue, not a software issue, as I originally thought. I was able to use a higher speed computer that works much better and much easier. It doesn't take me several hours to upload each video. So I was able to upload several months of videos, which, as you guys saw with the email from Jeremy this weekend, a lot of people watched.
Somebody watched.
And just a little reminder, we're on tape. And sometimes we say some things that we don't think are offensive, but in today's world, it's a little bit different. So we might just want to think a little bit twice before you say things. I know I'll go right now out on record to apologize for anything that I may have said that was not quite politically correct. I try to do better, but sometimes I slip. So just a little reminder right there. And also, I didn't have it on technology, but also we do have the equipment now for the credit card processing.
Yes.
So we are going to be ready when pool season opens to accept credit cards, which was a big demand, there's a lot of demand there, so.
Thank you, Joe. At this point, is there a motion to go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3? Jim's made a motion, Mark second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to rejoin open session?
I'll make a motion.
Steve made a motion,
I'll
Jim
second.
second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we're coming out of closed session. No action was taken in closed session. And we will go to next item, special projects. Updates, read the landings.
I don't have anything other than you will notice that the two under contract signs that were down here for the landings are no longer there at the corner of Unionville Indian Trail Road and in front of the concrete plant. They have been removed as of this afternoon.
Nothing's changed with the project, but that was direction from Councilor Sheree to try to get
The
the.
signage.
Yeah, I asked for them to be removed, that looked pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's just an FYI.
I had nuisance abatement on there prior to you adding it to your agenda. Is there any further
No.
discussion on that?
Just, yeah, we've already covered all that.
And then item C, discussion and action deemed appropriate on the citation policy that's before us.
So I prepared a citation appeal right to be heard policy. It's been presented to you. I think there was some concern about the mayor in departing assignments to him, but I believe that the reality of it is this is being used as we would use as a stopgap measure for a more involved dictation of the hearing right. I can tell you that I actually even prepared something. I added to this and
I
submitted
think
it to the
Sheree
mayor.
put the newest one out.
It is the newest one out,
Mhm.
because I'm seeing Joe's, it looks like it's one page, and I think mine bled over. Oh, it's on the back?
Yeah.
Okay, it's on the back. She said that. It basically addressed the 168, 193 provision. I thought I need to put that in there. But it will allow you to have process.
You're right, though, I did have both of them out here, so.
It will allow you the ability to have process in place to entertain any request for contest or hearing over the issuance of a violation notice or citation.
Since Jeremy's okay with leaving the mayor part in there, I'll make a motion to approve the citation ordinance violation policy for process and opportunity to be heard.
Second.
Doug made a motion, Jim second. Discussion on that. No discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Community information, Mark.
Okay, everybody knows that they had a Masters HOA yearly meeting back in December. They didn't get a quorum, so in their January meeting, they picked their board members. John McDaniel is the new president. Dennis O'Neill stays as vice president. Wayne Wrench is the treasurer, and Jordan Shaver is the secretary. And then they also added for all the members on the HOA, the CUSIC put on their website their contact emails. That's under the CUSIC portal, I guess it's called. Let's see here, their next meeting is a week from Thursday on the 20th of February at 6:30 PM right here. And yeah, there was a few violations here and there, a driveway violation, and there were like 8 different architectural review committee situations, painting, fence, patio, whatever, nothing major there. And then see here, the fire department and Eloquent Unlimited, Elegance, yeah. Whew. Elegance Unlimited, supposedly they're about ready to open their doors, but we mentioned that last month, so.
Yes, and, well, I know that they, have received their certificate of occupancy.
Yeah.
So it's just
We're still
a
waiting for that.
matter of time.
Okay.
And apparently there's a new therapist that's going to be, in the building, but I've not, I talked to her on last Friday, but she's not sent me any information, signage information, so I don't know anything else about her.
Okay.
I saw somebody viewing the restaurant last week. I don't know if I just saw Tally, I think, out there with us. Newsletter information,
What do you got?
we're gonna get a little article for you on the bench donation.
Yes, benches, yeah.
I sent that to him.
Anybody else got newsletter information?
Got Girls on the Run coming, so probably something with that.
What's that?
Girls on the Run coming, and the HOA is gonna have their
Yeah, we got a couple
their
things.
spring fall yard sale.
Yeah, I put the whole rundown last month, but I'll get the closer ones coming up.
A lot of people out fishing, make sure fishing permits. I know it's been in there, but
We issued several warnings.
Yeah, I'm
this
gonna put that
weekend.
in every month until Sheree tells me not to. They're fishing.
All right, anything else? We'll get it over tomorrow. Council comments, Steve?
have nothing in there.
Bruce?
No, the only thing I meant to say earlier, Mark, maybe you can start to get out to the, in emails that the 22nd, weather permitting, we're gonna be restriping Meeting Street, part of Craft. So there'll be no parking in those
Yeah,
areas.
shoot me up the stuff and I'll make a post on it and everything else.
Yeah, get it out early, and that's all I got.
Jim,
No, I'm good.
Mark?
Yep, I'm good.
Just two things. One, like I said earlier, I will not be able to be here next month's meeting. If you guys would like to change the date, I'd love it, but if not, I understand too. I'd like to be at the next meeting, but I cannot make it. I'm gonna be out of town.
You said you're out too.
And when Ken said he was out too, I was like, well, it's an opportunity, so.
I've got, and I've got my pretty large, my wife's having to have a kidney surgery in about a week and a half, and then we'll be gone for about a week. But I'll still be trying to attend to emails and respond and that kind of stuff.
How about I send an email tomorrow and everybody check the calendars and we'll just kind of see what.
If we can, I'd like it, but if not, we can't. And, other thing is, I neglected during my ordinance talk, I was on a roll there, and I neglected something on that. Cherie was a great asset for that. Thank you, Cherie. She went and had, lunch with, was Kathy Queen? Or she met with Kathy Queen and got some information from us to help put together some of that and talk with her about what they were doing for nuisances. Since we were originally talking nuisance abatement, thank you for doing all that. That's,
No problem.
she made my job easier, so I appreciate that.
No.
Sure.
Um,
Ken? Sure.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you need something, let me know. We'll get you some detailed information on the markings so that people can plan on the markings for the street, because we're gonna be doing
Okay.
that Bruce was talking about.
Yeah, weather permitting.
So we'll get you that,
Yeah.
and we'll also have to put some flyers out
Right.
for that.
I figured we get a leg up on it with an
Yeah.
email and her.
All right, a lot of stuff going on. I appreciate what everybody's doing. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Mark made a motion. Jim seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.